All right, good morning, everyone. It's 9 a.m. We're going to get started. Hold on, there's people coming in again. All right, so what you see before you is a bunch of oak. We're going to take a look at the plans real quick. There's a couple things going on right now. Okay, so basically what I'm doing right now is making these guys, the timber slats. Okay, so the timber slats themselves are 3/4 of an inch thick, 1/2 inch wide, 27 3/16 long. Now that length may change depending on the actual measurements of the cabinet. This is another reason you'd never want to go through the cut list and cut absolutely everything to final dimensions before doing any assembly or anything like that, because things can happen over the course of assembly that can alter dimensions on something like this slightly or even dramatically. So we want to make sure and save these things, especially something like this, to the end, okay? So the trick is here, it says I need 40 slats. Now, if you've ever worked with oak in here and used oak on the router table, you would know that it can tear out, can splinter, it can take some damage on the router table. So it pays to have some extra pieces. Well, I got somebody else coming in. Another reason I want extra pieces is because I'm having a difficult time deciding which method to glue the canvas backing on the, you know what, I'm just not gonna let any people in right now. I'm not gonna stop my train of thought. So everybody that's coming in late, too bad, so sad. So I can't decide whether to use contact cement to apply the canvas backing, or if I want to use wood glue and an iron to apply the canvas backing. We watched a video, I can't remember if I showed it to you guys. I know I showed it to second period, where in the past we've always attached canvas backing to things like this using contact cement, where you brush contact cement on both surfaces, let it set up, and then apply it. The difficulty with that is this. It can be hard to realize when you have enough or not enough glue on either the canvas or the wood. It can be difficult to realize when the glue has set up to the point where you can apply the canvas to the back of the wood. And it's always been a messy proposition. It's been a pain in the behind. We watched a video that showed a gentleman using wood glue applied to the back of the slats. Then he laid the canvas on it. Then he took a clothes iron and basically ironed that canvas on top of the glue until the glue set. I think it was about 10 or 15 minutes. And it looked to work very well. And I have seen a couple of videos online that use a similar process, but they don't use an iron. They just put wood glue on it and let it set overnight, and they seem to work well. So I think what I want to do, in all honesty, is I think I want to do a test to see how each of those processes do, how well they do. So that's going to require a couple of different things. It's going to require some extra slats. What I'm not going to do is do full size, full length slats, stuff like that. I'm not going to do any routing to them. I just want to cut some strips and try the glue and the clothes iron thing on it. So I've got some rough lumber set aside. And as usual, the very first thing you do in regards to getting material ready for use in a project is to draw your parts to rough dimensions. I need to see how much lumber we're going to need to get, I'm guessing, somewhere between 50 and 60 slats. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen sharing portion, and we'll take a look here. All right, so let's take a look at what we got. According to this, according to the plans, this cord is in the way. We need 40 of these guys. So let's think about this for a second. First of all, our length, okay? 27 3/16. Our cabinet is actually 26 and a half. I want to get the camera over here so you guys can see this. I believe it's going to be about right, but let's take a look. If I could learn how to turn this thing properly. So we got all the drawers done yesterday. So our opening itself for slabs is 26 and a half, dead on, okay? But taking into account the depth of the grooves that accept our tamper, this is another thing the sliding square is good for. Just open it up, drop it in the bottom of the groove. We're at 3/8. So 3/8 and 3/8 is 6/8 or 3/4 of an inch. So 26 and a half, 3/4. So they want what they're saying at 27 and 3/16 is they're leaving a 1/16 of an inch gap. So to get the length, if I were to take a board and stick it in there to there, all they're giving us is 3/16 of an inch for that tamper to move in there and for expansion and contraction. I'm not sure I'm happy with that. But we'll see how it works. The nice thing is this tamper thing can be trimmed off to final length after the fact, after the canvas is glued on. So we can actually try sliding this thing in there once it's all glued up and everything like that. And if it turns out it's binding or it's a little, they're a little too long, we can trim just a hair off of that. It's not a problem. It should be fairly easy. So let's start working on these slats, okay? So if they want 3/4 thick, I'm not concerned about that. I got plenty of thickness here to work with. And whoops, I gotta put this over there, huh? Duh. And here's the big one, 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch here. So add a blade kerf, that's 5/8. And for all intents and purposes, that's going to be 3/4 of an inch width for each and every slat. So instead of, I'm going to write that down, or I'll forget it. Instead of sitting here and drawing out every single slat, a 1/4 inch wider, 1/4 inch wider, 1/4 inch longer, all that stuff, here's what I want to do. I'm going to take this in sections. So at 3/4 of an inch for each slat, this guy is 9 inches wide. How many 3/4 inches can we get on a 9 inches? Well, we can obviously get 9. And so that's 12, okay? 12 slats. All right, let me double check that to make sure. And that's pushing it. Okay, so I'm going to say 11 to be safe. And 27 and 3/16. So 27 and 3/4. Something a little extra. Okay, so here's 10 slats. I'm not going to use this knot. I'm going to bypass this knot. Go another 27 3/4. There's another 10. I've got a pretty bad knot here I can't use. I'm going to start with the second board, but we can always, I can always take a few out of this section. So we'll see what we're going to get on this next board. That's only using 2 chunks of this board. So, look at the other side of this. There's a pretty bad knot here. So I'm going to go from this side. We will start right about here. 27 3/4. There's 10 more, that's 30. You wouldn't think that it would take this much lumber to make a dang camber door, but it obviously does. Get a good chunk out of this one. We'll get quite a few. I don't know. My fear is that, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's quite a bit of fall off on the edge here. I don't know if we're going to get full thickness out of that. Let me take a quick look. So we may lose that last one. It actually doesn't look that bad. Pretty close. We're going to try it. There's another 10. That gives us 40. And this is a possible 50 here. Yeah, it should be all right. So here's our 50. And that means we're going to need some out of this. And we're only going to get 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's a half. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 7, 8. We should get 8 out of each of these. All right. So the trick here is to have enough to do the door itself with some extras, and then enough to do a test run. So we'll see what we get out of this, and it should be enough. Another 8. We'll get another out of this. So this is what you would be doing were you here. Measuring, marking, rough cutting, block, block, block. All right, here's another 8. That's 24 slats above and beyond, which means that we're going to lose a couple here and there due to thickness issues or knots or interior things we find wrong. So next trick is to rough cut these. Where do we rough cut solid stock? Where would I take this? I want your answers in the chat. Where do I go with these boards to rough cut them? assuming you guys can hear me. Well, Aiden, at least you're trying. Thank you very much. That's incorrect, but at least you're trying to the point where you're paying attention. The fact that nobody else is trying to answer is disturbing and disconcerting all at once. Another close call, Aiden, but not quite there. Nope. Max, at least you're listening. Thank you very much. So we need to rough cut these boards. In other words, we need to cut them to rough length, okay? The miter saw is not a terribly safe place to do it. These boards are too big to go ahead and start joining a face or anything like that. So where we actually go is to the panel saw. Now there's something about the panel saw I want you guys to understand, okay? So I'm gonna try and clarify it. How can I do this? I've got, all right, so here's the thing. Before I go to the panel saw, I'm gonna sight down the edges of the board, okay? And what I'm looking for is a curve, right? So maybe I can show this to you on a piece of paper. If this thing will focus, that would be pretty nice. Gotta find a blank piece of paper somewhere. All right, here we go. I wish this program, this Zoom thing, allowed you to draw something on it. So basically, there's more than two possibilities. A board can actually have, I mean, honestly, a board could actually go like this. So here's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this, but we're gonna try it, okay? Come on, focus, man. So here's our situation. These are different types of shapes of boards that we can have if we're looking at a face, right? So there's a best way to place this thing in the panel saw, okay? This bottom one right here, absolutely incorrect, because once we get to about right here in the cut, this thing's gonna collapse and bind on the blade. That kerf is gonna close on the blade, bind, and it's gonna kick back, okay? On this one here, once we get to about right here, almost complete with the cut, the ends of the boards are gonna drop. The kerf's going to open and not bind on the blade. So if this is the one we want, let me do this. This is what they always do. I don't know, that's a really great drawing there. So if it's gonna focus, we'll be golden here. Okay, so this bottom one's a no, this middle one's a yes. The top one, it depends on where you're making your cut. If you're making your cut right here, then this is the best way to put it. If you're making your cut right here, you're gonna have to flip it over, put the other edge against the fence on it, okay? So that's what we're trying to accomplish is every one of you that have been here for more than a year or so in this shop, you've heard somebody get kicked back on that panel saw. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm sighting down this edge. I'm gonna put the edge up that I want up. And I'm gonna go ahead and mark my kerfs, mark where I'm gonna place the blade. I'm gonna have to bring this over a little bit. So it is important to plan out your cuts. I'm going to put an X there because I'm not keeping that material. So let's see where the next one's going to take us. Let's take a look at the edge. All right, stay there. All right, so here's a scrap end. Marks on the edge. This is the only way to really easily place the blade on the panel saw to know where to cut. is to place them on the upper edge, so that all you really have to do is slide this board in, bring the saw down right in onto the kerfs, and I'm not going to drop. That power cord sitting on there not working for me very well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and slide this one into the saw because it's kind of annoyingly heavy. All right, so that edge up. Mark this last one before I move the camera. Take a look at the edge. It's kind of all over the place. So I'm actually kind of glad it is. Because there is a technique you use on the panel saw if you're not exactly sure how it should go. There's a way to kind of do it safely. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Really am not that fond of oak. And really the biggest reason, there's two main reasons I'm not that fond of oak. One, it's splintery as heck. I get more splinters from oak than just about anything. And two, it's used everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. It's kind of like coconuts. How many pieces of furniture and things like that use oak? Kitchen cabinets. Okay, let's see if I've got this set right. Then we'll head over to the panel saw. It's not a great image, but focus. Focus. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's get these cut up real quick. So basically all you really have to do is slide from above, literally place that blade right in between your kerf marks that you drew on the edge. So that's what I'm talking about trying to do that. So take that. If you go slowly and you pay attention to that kerf, I know you guys can't see me right there. You pay attention to that kerf, and if that kerf starts to close a little bit as you get further into the board, you back blade out, go back down, widen that kerf a little bit, continue. If you're watching that kerf, you'll know it's going to bind. Okay, and if you're going slow, and if you're watching it from above, you'll be able to tell. As I was playing that one, I could see that curve opening up. As I got further into the board, so that was a good thing. I knew it wasn't going to bind. I knew the curve was going to close on the blade and kick back. So. I just remember the third thing about oak that I don't like. It's the smell of being cut for some reason. It's not my favorite odor in the world with oaks being cut. So interesting. All right, we're gonna go to the next board. That's good. I got rid of that. Okay with it? So that was something really, really careful of what happens when it starts to bind up. I don't expect you to do that motor, but again, when I was watching it first, so I stopped, back out, clean that first out. So there's actually no reason to keep that on that. So I'm going to show you this. So that's good. That's all. So let's take a look at something real quick. Let me turn that camera here so you can see this. Yeah, we can. So I want you guys to take a look at this material. This should get us 24, 74 slats. When they're asking Okay, so it's a little overkill, and the main reason it's overkill is I do want to test two different pieces possibilities we have for this, whether it's with glue and an iron, or whether it's just straight contact cement. So I have enough extra for that, and I also should have enough extra for any issues that might come up with weird pieces, having wormholes in them, blue knots I didn't see, or tear out on the router table, or something like that. So that gives us enough. Okay. Okay. At least I hope. I hope that's enough. If it's not, well, I guess I'm cutting more. So, all right. So, for those of you that have at least been trying to pay attention and trying to listen, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. It means the world to me to know that you're at least kind of paying attention when I'm doing this out here. This is not any easier for me than it is for you guys, I'll be completely honest with you. Those of you that are not paying attention, obviously you're not listening to this right now, but you need to start paying attention. You need to start at least, and not just with me, but any of your teachers that are putting in an effort to try and do something for you, give them enough respect. Give them the respect of your time and attention. We're just like anybody else. We're human. We're struggling through all this stuff too. It is not pleasurable being here without students here. In fact, it's absolutely terrible. So your attention to what an instructor is trying to do for you is worth the world to us. So if you're not going to pay attention, in all honesty, if you're not going to pay attention, please don't even bother showing up to class, because it's getting a little old not having any responses to questions. There's a couple of you that are responding to my questions every time. And that's, like I said, that means the world to me. But if you're not going to pay attention, then why even bother showing up? I think probably I need to come up with some sort of way to gauge whether or not you are paying attention and grade accordingly. You guys can go ahead and take off. You're done for the day. Have a great day. Those of you that were here and paying attention, thank you very much, especially if you got here on time. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you all tomorrow.